Am I wrong for my reaction to my birthday present? I, 29 female, met Will, 30 male, 6 years ago when I moved into a new apartment close to university. He was my next door neighbor and offered to help me put together the flat pack furniture. We really hit it off and have been together ever since. Will was married right out of high school to someone who was not a very good match. They were young, dumb, and made a colossal mistake. Will recognizes how crazy it was to marry someone at 18, but at the time, they really thought it was a good idea. That being said, the breakup and the fallout was terrible. This was before I met Will, but it sounds like both sides were out to inflict as much pain as possible. Fortunately, there were no children or assets, but it was not a smooth process by any means. Will reached out to his ex-wife relatively recently, about 2 years ago, to apologize for all of the pain he put her through, which I thought was quite nice of him to do. She also apologized for her actions, but both agreed that they did not want to stay in contact. However, coming out of it, Will told me that he had realized he never wants to get married again. This was a surprise to me, but I never really wanted the white picket fence, so no marriage didn't really bother me. I am happy just to be in a long-term committed relationship. Recently, it was my birthday, and we had some people over for a barbecue. It was really lovely, but Will insisted we do presents in front of everyone. I haven't ever really done that, but I didn't want any issues with it. Everyone gifted me really sweet and thoughtful items, and it was a blast, until I got to Will's gift. Will had been really bragging about how this was the perfect gift and I had to save the best for last. It was a diamond tipped drill set. To be clear, I do not own a drill and have no interest in anything related to drills. My face fell and Will burst out laughing, saying that the joke is that these diamonds are the only diamonds I could ever expect to receive from him. Get it? Because we aren't ever getting engaged. I was so humiliated. I excused myself and went into the house, and I suppose that everyone left after a while. Oh my god. Oh my god. What a piece of shit. Why is that even a joke? Why is that even something like, you're lucky to find a girl who doesn't want to get married? Those are scarce, okay? And the fact that you would throw it in her face like, this is the only diamond you're ever getting. Stupid. Will tried to give me my real present later that evening, but the drill bits were only meant as a joke. But I didn't even open it because I couldn't understand why he was so cruel in front of all of my friends. Will says that I'm overreacting when I have another gift and I agreed that we wouldn't get married. I feel really hurt and Will doesn't seem to get it. Am I overreacting? I help me if I'm wrong here, but I don't see how you embarrassing your girlfriend in front of all of her friends about her never getting a ring from you because you're scarred from your previous marriage is a really funny joke.
Story time about how I asked my girlfriend to marry me 3 times and she said no. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. So after she said no the first time, I decided to ask a second time. And this time she told me that she just wasn't convinced that I was the guy she wanted to marry. As you can imagine, this broke my heart. And I gotta tell you, I'm not a bad looking guy. I get hit on regularly by women. And all of the girlfriends I've had in my life that are just friends have told me that they would want to be in a relationship with a guy like me. I'm caring, kind, considerate. I'm funny. So for my girlfriend of 2 years to tell me that she wasn't convinced I was the guy for her broke me to my core. I even started questioning my manliness. Would I be a good provider? Would I be a good father? Do I even deserve these things? My girlfriend has been the only girl that has never chased me. I'm always the one getting chased by girls, and truthfully, it bores me. So maybe the fact that she's not chasing me is what keeps me interested in her. Which I know is so messed up. Because maybe if she did say yes to marrying me, would I get bored of her? I asked her to marry me a 3rd time, and she said no again. My friends and family think I should break up with her, but I love her too much. I can't get enough of this girl. I want her to marry me. What should I do? My bestie caught me flirting with her ex and now she doesn't want to talk to me. Am I wrong for this? Disclaimer, this is not my story time. My bestie and I have a long history. We met in high school and we were inseparable. We both even followed the same career and opened up a business together. So she started dating this guy, let's call him Rex. Rex was extremely good looking, but their relationship fizzled out really quick. She was a party girl and he was a homebody. He always needed to have friends around and he thought that was annoying because he wanted to be alone with her. Fast forward 2 months, he breaks up with her. And 6 months later, guess who slides into my DMs? Rex. From the moment he messaged me, he was very clear that he liked me and that I was more his type. He flirted a lot on DM, but I had no intention of actually doing anything with him. My bestie caught a glimpse of a text he sent and she went berserk. Now she doesn't want to talk to me and I feel like she's overreacting. Am I wrong for this?
Am I wrong for yelling at my daughter for hiding her pregnancy from me? My 20-year-old daughter lives with me, male 47. She has a boyfriend, Gary, 20 male, who lives with his parents. She lost her job over COVID and has felt so sad since and hasn't looked for a new one. I'm not sure if Gary's ever worked, but he doesn't now. Mostly, he just sits around my house playing Xbox and eating my food. So obviously I'm not Gary's biggest fan, but my daughter loves him, so I tolerate him and have always been polite. Well, about a month ago, she went missing for a little over 3 days. While she does go out a fair bit without telling me, this was longer than usual, so I rang her mother and messaged Gary and her friends. No one had seen her. Eventually, Gary responded with a picture of a baby saying, "Say hello to your grandson." She never told me or my ex-wife, and for context, she's a bigger girl and put on a couple of extra pounds, and I didn't think anything of it. Then they brought the baby back to our house sometime the next day while I was working. Am I wrong for yelling at my daughter for hiding her pregnancy from me? When I got home, of course I asked why she wouldn't tell me, and that's when she said she wanted Gary to move in with us, and she knew if she asked before the baby, I would have said no. And that I would have said that they need to get themselves sorted, both get jobs, and find their own place to live before the baby comes, and she's not wrong. But if she waited until the baby was born, I'd have to say yes to Gary moving in, because what kind of monster would keep their grandson from living with their father? I was so mad and yelled at her, saying it's incredibly manipulative for her to do. I was too angry at the moment to give her an answer about Gary and said I needed time to process and think. That's when she rang her mother in tears, and my ex called me saying how could I be so cold, and I was ruining what should be an exciting and magical time for her. And for Gary and myself, and that I'd look back on this in a few years and definitely regret it. I think I'm justified, but everyone around me seems to think I don't have a valid reason for being bothered. Am I wrong for refusing to offer my seat to a pregnant woman and asking an old lady to F off? I didn't outright say that, but I just couldn't think of a better way to phrase it. It's just the tone I gave off kind of gave that vibe that I was telling her to F off. I, a teen male, was traveling on a train. There were hardly spaces for anyone to sit, and a few stations later when a couple of people dropped off, there was breathing space, but there were no vacant seats left anyway. A pregnant woman entered the compartment and was apparently looking for a seat. Mine was the seat that was immediately visible when she entered, and the people who had adjacent seats next to me were much older. I wasn't sure whether I should offer mine or not, and I was just thinking through it when an older woman who was a little ahead of me said to take mine. As in, take his seat, there's enough space for you to sit. I didn't like that she was directly asking the woman to walk over and claim my seat, so I protested. I told her, hey, you can't just tell someone else to claim my seat. It's mine and I get to decide. Am I wrong for refusing to offer my seat to a pregnant woman and asking an old lady to F off? So she told the pregnant woman to take his seat, there's enough space for you to sit. I didn't like that she was directly asking the woman to walk over and claim my seat. So I protested and said, hey, you can't just tell someone else to claim my seat. It's mine and I can decide. That's when she asked me whether I couldn't see that she was pregnant and that as a young man I had the ability to stand. Everybody was eyeing me as if I had said something wrong, but I was just upset and I wasn't having the nonsense. So I told her that I'm not doing it, and she began to accuse me of not having respect for elders. A few others also asked me to give my space up, but I didn't listen. I told her she has to mind her own business and to not interfere in my affairs. I have every right to remain here. She looked extremely cross, and I probably did come out with a bad impression on everyone, but I didn't like her attitude. Am I wrong?
Am I the asshole for not eating food my girlfriend's parents made at family dinner? My girlfriend of 4 years has a different cultural background than mine. Her parents are not from America, and family and meals are very important to them. I grew up in America, and while we had holiday dinners and maybe a Sunday dinner every couple of weeks, for the most part, mom or dad made something, and then we eat it where and when we wanted. I eat dinner with my girlfriend's parents every week, and I love it. It is important to her, and I have no problem with the different cuisines. It's all delicious food. However, I do not eat a lot. Growing up, I was very overweight and saw a nutritionist, stuck to a calorie deficit and worked on my portions, and have been at a healthy weight ever since. My relationship with food has changed, and I no longer have the desire to tear through 2 double quarter pounders anymore. My girlfriend's parents seem to get offended that I get small portions of things and don't fill my plate up a second time. They will make maybe 5 to 6 different food options, and I'll get a little bit of everything because I want to taste it all. At some point, every time I'm there, they ask me if I didn't like the food. They mention the small portions and how I never go back for more. I just honestly tell them I don't want to overeat. They never made a scene about it to me, but I guess they've been discussing it with my girlfriend while I am not there. A couple of days ago, my girlfriend told me that her parents feel offended over how little I eat, which a little is a 100% full plate with a bit of everything made. And some days I eat less and some days I eat more. It really just depends. If I skipped breakfast and had a light lunch, I might fill up more for dinner. But if, for example, I got a decent breakfast, work catered sandwiches that day, I'm going to get a normal, small sized dinner. My general goal is to have equal sized meals each time, but with a busy work life, that is not always possible. So some days I didn't really have food until family dinner and I'm eating more than usual. My girlfriend asked me if it were possible that I could eat a little bit more just for one day of the week. She didn't push or demand, just asking if it was possible. I told her that I don't want to ruin my mended relationship with food. I don't understand why the parents are so offended. I always pack up Tupperware and eat it throughout the week because it's delicious food. I don't want to disrespect her parents though.
That's so ridiculous.